let's get into the private tokenized shares. So this market is like famously opaque and hard to get to. Can you walk me through how Robinhood can make this accessible?
Yeah, I mean, really, it's the same underlying technology that powers the public shares. Now, I wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post in the U.S. in January of this year, and the lead was really that you have these companies that aren't going public. Some of them have essentially made the decision that they would never go public unless they were forced, and they're basically able to raise tens of billions, maybe hundreds of billions of dollars from the private markets. And that wasn't possible before. So they have no corporate need to go public, but what happens is retail investors are left out of those gains, which keep accruing to a smaller and smaller selection of wealthy insiders. The days of being able to invest in an IPO like Microsoft and Apple and get a huge appreciation in the public markets seem more difficult to come by. I mean, it happens from time to time. But if you want to invest in the AI economy as a retail investor, your options are quite limited. And you see gigantic companies that are already quite big, Tesla, for example, NVIDIA, and that's kind of the exposure to the AI industry. So using the same technology that powers tokenized public stocks, we're able to tokenize pretty much anything, as long as we can acquire the traditional shares. And I think this is going to be particularly interesting for the US. So the question we had is, okay, how can you get people in the US excited about putting stocks on blockchains? You get these questions like, why is it better than traditional stocks that are off-chain? You already have things like Robinhood, it's easy. Robinhood has close to 26 million customers. You can trade 24/5. Maybe it's not 24/7, but it's pretty close. But I think where the possibilities really start to multiply is if you can get these illiquid assets and you can kind of construct a mechanism for all of them to be put on chain, and you get that liquidity and the real-time trading that has been historically reserved only for cryptos and public stocks.
So you would have to, Robinhood has access to these like OTC markets for private companies, and kind of that's what you're unlocking for anyone, really.
Yeah, that's basically it. And I should clarify that the private shares we gave out were essentially a gift. So this is a way to demonstrate the technology. They're not yet able to be traded, so customers will have to hold on to them. But actually, since we've announced last night, lots of private companies have been reaching out to me and asking, you would think not a lot of private companies would actually be interested in this, but
why not?
I've had reach outs, and I've had people asking me, when can we get our own private stock tokenized? So I think we'd like to open this up much wider, figure out how to allow trading in the near future, and also make it available to lots and lots of private companies so that people can invest in the most innovative and valuable private companies. And I think over time, what I get really excited about, since the initial private stocks will be, the transactions will be on a secondary basis. So this is buying stock from existing shareholders of a company. But I think over time, this can migrate to being a tool for companies to raise primary capital. So you imagine an entrepreneur who's starting a business, and this becomes a mechanism for them to get quick and easy capital. So they wouldn't need to go and do the dog and pony show where they pitch venture capitalists and go around Sand Hill Road. If they could just go on Robinhood or any other platform, really, push a button and maybe submit some information about what their business is and what their venture is, and they get immediate access to a global pool of investors that want to back and get the exposure to that new startup technology. I think if we can deliver that, we'll just have more startups. You know, the costs and the friction to creating startups will dramatically decrease. Because, you know, I was an entrepreneur early stage, and you have to do two very difficult things simultaneously. One is build a product that people want, take it to market. You also have to fund the business. And early stage funding the business takes a lot of time. So you almost have these like two full-time jobs that you have to simultaneously do. So I think if we make that easier, we'll have more startups.
That'd be really interesting to have a primary market on Robinhood. And do you envision this as startups racing via both like equity and tokens?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a good question. There are existing mechanisms where startups can issue tokens, right? They can have ICOs. Historically, that has been a completely separate process from actually raising a normal fundraising round. And you've had to make sure, in the US at least, that US persons don't participate in those. It's typically been used only for largely
investors.
It's accredited. Crypto companies have been doing this for like token launches. But what I'm envisioning is these processes merge somewhat. So if you want to go the crypto native token route, you could, but also you could just have something like a traditional financing and traditional shares, traditional documentation. You're dealing with the same lawyers, and we can just be a utility that helps tokenize those shares.